in Bemidji, Minnesota. And look, I got Christmas earrings that have a little Minnesota state with the plaid, because the plaid is very Minnesotan, very Bemidji Minnesotan, because we got the Paul Bunyan here, and he always wears red and black plaid. So I'm feeling my Minnesota vibes today. It's time for Oopsie Annie to make her 2023 intention board. My intention boards I've been making for a few years now, and every intention board is based on one single word. I can't remember my first board. I kind of threw it up. I didn't think of saving it, but the idea of an intention board is that you want to be able to see it in your daily life, valuing that word, living that word. And I can't tell you the first one I did, because I kind of threw it up, and it was fun, but it was a mess. The second time I did it was in 2020, and I decided to give more thought and energy into creating an intention board that I actually wanted to see every day. So this was it. The word that year, 2020, was indwell. I chose indwell for sacred reasons. I wrote up here my definition for the word indwell. And then I have the word oneness all around, so that is another important word for the indwell, in that I am in union with divine spirit, that we are a team working together to bring and birth love and good things into the world with our actions. The next year was thrive. And boy, oh boy, I really do feel I thrived, because the next year was 2021, and that's really when I began going with this Oopsie Annie channel and really writing a lot. So, me afraid? Not anymore. Well, maybe just a little bit sometimes, but really releasing fears and just going after my dreams, because by golly, I wanted to thrive, and I can't thrive if I'm holding myself back with fear. I really felt like I was thriving that year, and I remember when I took this picture, it was down by the Boise River. It was a beautiful place. The year after that, the word was harmony. That's the word that we're just coming out of in 2022, and I didn't save that artwork. I was disappointed in myself. I tried to look at it every day, but I had to put it away, and I don't have it anymore. I didn't bring it with me to Minnesota, but I want to tell you, I embraced that word wholeheartedly. I remembered it always, and I brought harmony into my life, which for me also meant finding a balance with things, and also allowing the thriving to be harmonious, the indwelling to be harmonious, and it was a good word, and I love that word. So what's this year's word for 2023? I've chosen it, and it's going to be dun da da da. The new 2023 word is illuminate. That's right, illuminate. Jiffy Jeff heard me in the other room where his office is, and he said it sure sounded like this word, but it's not. It's not the same thing. You're going to see how I use and define the word illuminate for myself in my artwork. I wanted a big, bold statement. So I was at the thrift store, and I got this for $5. I'm going to use a paper tablecloth that I got at an estate sale. Why in the world would I want to use a paper tablecloth? An old crispy one, by the way. Well, I want this bumpy paper right here on the inside. It's got kind of a texture, and Oopsie Annie has always liked a texture to things. I think it makes it more interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip up chunks from the center of this paper tablecloth. That was very therapeutic. That's how you deal with some of this Minnesota nice. You know, it's really hard to be nice all the time. I'm going to apply that ripped paper using wallpaper paste. This is my favorite thing for doing paper mache. I loves it. I loves it. I'm going to pour some of this wallpaper paste into the container. Now here comes the canvas. What? I tried to clear off a space. So I'm going to push up my sleeves. I probably should put an apron on, but I'm just going to cross my fingers instead. And I'm going to start gooping this up. Wallpaper paste can't really hurt you, but it does make your skin dry. So when I clean up afterwards, I'll put some hand lotion on. I wasn't going to be speaking during this time, but then I just had stuff I wanted to say. So here I am again. Once upon a time, Oopsie Annie worked for a major art museum as a contract artist. The museum was Dallas Museum of Art. And I was their storyteller, their resident storyteller there for many years, just about 8 years. But I also taught art classes and participated in art classes and workshops. I was exposed to a lot of different people in the act of being creative. Somewhere along there, I became aware of how many people limit their creativity because they're afraid of making mistakes. It just stops them in their tracks, or they really limit how they grow and expand. I just started thinking I didn't want that to be me. I didn't ever want to be afraid to try something. And I would say that being a performer in a museum and getting up and doing live shows in front of like 200 people, you do get over a lot of that fear, because you ain't going to get nowhere if you can't get past some major stumbling blocks as far as being afraid of making a mistake, especially if you're learning new material every single month, as I was. So I just had to learn to accept oopsies as a very natural, often good part of creativity. I started noticing when I started looking at my oopsies that they were offering me a new opportunity to possibly change direction, think of something in a new way, and proceed accordingly, meaning making the oopsie work for you. And when that happens, by golly, you might just be innovating something that's never been done before. Because instead of throwing that work out, or instead of giving up, you're proceeding, and you are letting your mind expand and imagine new horizons. So if I can ever inspire anyone out there with anything I do, it's that to not let oopsies stop you, freeze you, hold you back, restrain you from following your heart and your creative desire. Now, following your heart, that might be traveling, exploring different places, trying new foods. Don't be afraid. And don't be afraid of sitting down with a pile full of art materials and junk and garbage and trying to make a meaningful piece of art out of it all. You don't know what magic is waiting right around the corner to be discovered. It's covered. It has a transparency that I like. You can kind of see the flower is shaped still behind it, but it's rather transparent. The artwork will be vertical, not horizontal. I have been cutting paper and laying it out, and now this canvas looks very busy indeed. Very busy. I'm wondering if I overdid it. I just get carried away, you know? What I'm going to do now is get my handy dandy glue sticks and start gluing things down and making permanent decisions about what goes where. Because once it's glued down, there's no going back. This is actually more the fun part to me. Now I feel like I'm starting to get towards the finish line. I'll be back. Hello, it's Oopsie Annie, almost a week later from when I started this intention board. It took me a little longer than I expected, plus I'm in rehearsals for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest where I'm playing Nurse Ratched, and I had to spend time learning my lines, and there's a lot of them. But the thing of it is, I finished my board, I sure did. There were some oopsies, and I'll tell you about them, and I'll tell you about how my oopsies kind of worked for me too. First of all, don't get cheap products. I bought this for just under $5 from Walmart, and I was hoping it would be close to this brand or Golden. And it wasn't. It's definitely more thinner, more watery. When I started putting it onto the sun, I got a lot of ripples. I didn't want to keep using it. Guess what I did? I went right back to using wallpaper paste. That's right, cheap old wallpaper paste. Laid all this down the way I wanted it to be laid down onto the canvas. Wallpaper paste will not protect your artwork against water damage. So then I had to go back to my expensive stuff. That meant using my gloss gel here, the gloss gel medium, and I put this all over the canvas with my bare fingers. You can see the ripply effect that happened on the sun because I was using that cheap stuff. I didn't do any more on all the other pieces, just the sun. And actually, this was an oopsie, but I love it on the sun. And then I went and I took this other product, Tempera Paint, that comes in stick form, kind of like an oil pastel, and it dries really quickly. This brand is Craft Smart. There's some other brands like it. And I went over and I wanted my sun to be more shiny and not so flat. I like this. I like the texture. It's kind of even loose, you know, but it's protected because it's underneath that gel medium. So I could splash water on it. It's going to be just fine. Illuminate. Oopsie Annie, she's a light worker, not a shadow worker. The shadow workers, they need their jobs too, but I'm a light worker. Illuminate. I live in the Northland. I live in northern Minnesota, and I'm telling you something, the sun is beautiful here in the summer. The skies are so clear because there's next to no pollution here, and everything does seem more illuminated by the sun. And then in the winter time, and you get all this snow, well, it glitters at night. The land becomes illuminated by the crystallized snow everywhere. For me, Minnesota might be a very cold place, might have really long, dark nights in the winter, but it still isn't dark out. It's illuminated because of all that snow. It doesn't ever get really pitch black dark out. And we've had snow on the ground continuously since November sometime. It's just been around. That's about it. I had to hurry up portions of this video because I only get 15 minutes. I only get 15 minutes because my YouTube channel is not verified. That means I don't have enough subscriptions, enough views. So if you like to watch my videos and you haven't subscribed, subscriptions help me gain verification and get to that point where I can have videos longer than 15 minutes and really go into the process of creating some of the art projects I do. I like short videos, but there are times when it might be nice to have a longer video, and this would have been one of them. Until we meet again, ta-ta, bye-bye now. Mwah! Love all life around you. Be inspired. Be grateful. Birds of joy in 2023. Illuminate.